Hello everybody, you are all most welcome. So our guests are about to come in, our chief guests are about to come. So please settle down. Admo, please can you call people in? Let's all be seated. I hope we have all registered our names. We want to be able to say that you are here. So if you haven't registered your name, please, you have to step out and register your name. And you will be given a bag of goodies so that you can remember this day. Okay? All right, so we are all taking our seats now so that we can welcome our chief guests. Please, can we call everybody in? Can we have everybody come in, please? Bienvenue, bienvenue. Welcome everybody, please take your seat. We're about to start. Please take your seats. Please take your seats. Most welcome. Everybody who's coming in, please take your seats. Okay, our chief guests are about to come in. I'll ask us, please take your seats. Let's be ready to start as soon as they come in. Okay, so our guests are here. We will soon have a few more seats. Please bear with us. We may need to move out of the way. I'm very sorry for that. Maybe? AU IBA people, please can you give seats to our guests? While we arrange other seats. Thank you so much. We are arranging a few more seats. We're very happy to have more people. Excuse me? It's better you put like here. See this? Yes? Okay, please can we stand up to welcome our ministers and our chief guests? Please, can we stand up to welcome our chief guests? Thank you very much. We can have a seat. And we are still doing a few more arrangements. Everybody will have a seat. Sorry for that. We are very happy today to be at this wonderful celebration. We want to thank our chief guests from across Africa. And we want to thank every one of you for taking time away from your busy schedules, from everything else that you're doing, to be here with us today. This is really for us a very special occasion. A few years ago, at the 70th anniversary, AU IBAT declared with partners that we will be looking to eradicating PPR. That was a dream, that was a vision that was planted then. After that, we set up the secretariat, and we've gone ahead to really work with partners to secure some of the funding that is needed, commitments, but also actual funding. And now we are here today to launch this continental program. Africa has 30% of the world's livestock. That's a major resource for this continent. And we have 1 billion small ruminants. This is an excellent resource, especially for women, for youth, for eradicating poverty, for wealth creation, for food and nutrition security. And that is why we are here today to launch the PPR eradication program. I'm very excited. I'm sure you're all very excited. This room is full of champions, people who understand the power and the value of this program. This room is full of our partners, those that we shall work together with. I want to also say that we're very proud that this program, this vision, is in the Kampala Declaration, which was endorsed by our heads of state and government recently in Kampala. And I want to tell you that Kampala Declaration is 2026, 2035. But we are more ambitious, isn't it? This program is even more ambitious. And that is why we want to celebrate each and every one of you who is here, because you understand that ambition and you're ready to run with this program. We are ambitious because we want to eradicate PPR by 2030. It took 35 years to eradicate Peste, but we learned something. And we want to build on that and eradicate PPR by 2030. This is not my day. There are many wonderful, powerful voices that we're going to hear today. So can we start Can we please stand up, start this day with the African Union anthem and then the Ethiopia anthem. Please, can we all stand up? Please be seated. Thank you very much. It gives me great honor to just welcome all of you, but I would like to mention some of our guests who are here and just say a very special welcome. And after that, my duty is almost over, and I will hand over to Director Godfrey Bahigwa. Your Excellency, Dr. Girma Amente, Minister of Agriculture of Ethiopia. Your Excellency, Dr. Tiger, Minister of Livestock, Fisheries and Animal Industries of Cameroon. Your Excellency, Dr. Abderrahim Awat Ateb, Minister of Livestock and Animal Production of Chad. Monsieur Sidi Temoko Toure, Minister of Animal Resources of Côte d'Ivoire. Your Excellency Lieutenant Colonel, retired Bright Ramirama, State Minister for Animal Industries, Uganda. Your Excellency Joseph Asako, African Union Commissioner for Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy, and Sustainable Environment. Your Excellency Ambassador Stephen Sullivan, USA Ambassador to the African Union Mission. Your Excellency, the EU representative to this meeting. The DG of the International Atomic Energy Agency. The representative of the DG of ILRI, of International Livestock Research Institute. Fabian Couchet, representing the Director ILRI. The Director General of Dakar Veterinary School, Dr. Kabore. Francois Kaya, representing the DG of the World Organization of Animal Health. FAO Ethiopia Country Representative and Head of the Sub-Regional Office for East Africa. Director Godfrey Bahigwa, Director of Agriculture and Rural Development. He's going to kill me on that one. He's our friend. He's the friend of animals. At AUC, Dr. Huyam Salih, Director of AU, Inter-African Bureau for Animal Resources. All our partners, variously represented here, we value you. Ladies and gentlemen, you are all most welcome. And we are honored to have you here. We appreciate you. We appreciate you here. I want to start by helping us to remember two people. One is probably in this room, I'm not so sure. Is Dr. Rose Ademun here? Ah, she's here. You will be clapping for her shortly. When Africa started the discussion on where they should focus, where we should focus our energy, where we will have the best traction of changing Africa's livestock sector, of changing Africa's economy through animal resources, Dr. Rose Ademun stood up and said, the best place is to start with PPR eradication. That was her voice, and her voice gave guidance for this vision to be developed. Please, can we clap for her? We value that input very much because she was thinking of the women and the youth of Africa. She was thinking, where does our wealth come from? The second person I want us to remember is somebody who was a champion, a very powerful champion for PPR, but unfortunately he passed away, I believe, in December last year. His heart was with us, and he was a very strong and powerful voice for PPR at FAO. That is Ambassador Cissé Seydou, ambassador from Côte d'Ivoire to all UN agencies in Rome. Can we just remember him? Can we stand up and just remember him? May his soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Those are two things I want you to remember. But for now, I want you to really remember Dr. Rose for that voice, for that powerful voice that set us on the journey on PPR eradication. So now I have the great honor to invite Dr. Godfrey Bahigwa, the Director for Agriculture and Rural Development at the AUC. And my name is Dr. Sarah Ashanut Osia, and I head the Resilient African Feed and Fodder Systems Project at AU-IBA. Thank you so much. Dr. Hive?
Thank you for the consultation. Sarah. Her Excellency Ambassador Joseph Asako, the Commissioner for Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy and Sustainable Environment of the AU Commission, Honorable Ministers from Cameroon, Chad, Cote d'Ivoire, Ethiopia, and Uganda, Excellency Ambassadors, let me respect the protocol as read out by my colleague Sarah in the interest of time. My name is Godfrey Bahigwa. I'm the Director of Agriculture and Rural Development at the African Union Commission. Good evening to you all. Good evening to you all. Thank you. It is my great pleasure and honor to welcome you all to the official launch of the Pan-African Program for the Eradication of Peste des PetitsRuminants. I wanted you to appreciate that I read it very well in French. Otherwise commonly known as PPR, from Africa in this beautiful capital city of Africa, Addis Ababa, in the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. Foremost, I'm particularly pleased with the partnership between the African Union Commission, represented by the Department of Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy and Sustainable Environment, and the World Organization for Animal Health, and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, in supporting AU member states to address animal health challenges, safeguarding animal health, public health, and food and nutrition security on our continent. Goat and sheep farming is one of the key levers for socioeconomic transformation and building resilience of African populations, especially youth and women, as you heard Sarah emphasizing. Africa is endowed with around 1 billion sheep and goats, whose production and productivity is mainly hampered by PPR. It is estimated that annual losses are between 1.4 billion to 2.1 billion US dollars worldwide, and Africa bears 40% of those losses, and that is equivalent to between 560 million to 840 million dollars per year. PPR is reported in 46 of the 55 AU member states. That is basically around 84% across the continent. and continues to compromise our efforts to improve livelihoods, eliminate hunger and poverty among vulnerable communities in Africa, limits our abilities to increase access to markets for livestock and livestock products, and limits our growth of our national economies in AU member states. It is therefore imperative for Africa to take a leading role in coordinating and harmonizing PPR eradication initiatives in alignment with global efforts. The continued threat of PPR will not only delay economic integration of our continent, but also delay the realization of the opportunities presented by the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. Therefore, safeguarding our small ruminants is not just an animal health issue, but also a livelihood and development issue. This is why socioeconomic threats that PPR presents must be addressed with determination and commitment from all of us. Our collective action and resolve in fighting PPR will prevent communities dependent on sheep and goats from slumping into poverty and impoverishment. Our actions will lead to healthier goats and sheep, higher farmer incomes, reduced malnutrition, and overall economic growth and transformation. Honorable Ministers, distinguished participants, PPR eradication has become a priority objective of the African Union, FAO, World Organization for Animal Health, ILRI, development partners, and the global community, with the target of eradicating the disease by 2030, as you heard from Sarah. It is only 4 years and 11 months from today. To demonstrate Africa's commitment to eradicating PPR, several PPR programs and projects are currently being implemented by regional communities and member states in collaboration with various development partners. It is important to note that countries have gone an extra mile and are funding national PPR eradication programs through their national budgets. This is a commendable effort, and we extend our deep appreciation to those member states. The commitment is also demonstrated by the African Union having established a Pan-African PPR Secretariat hosted at AU AIBA in Nairobi, Kenya, to coordinate eradication of PPR in Africa by 2030. The Secretariat is a joint initiative of AU institutions, that is AU AIBA and PANVAC, as well as FAO and World Organization for Animal Health. The Pan-African program for the eradication of PPR that we are launching today is a joint effort of the African Union and partners, as I mentioned earlier, FAO, World Organization, to name just a few. This Pan-African program is part of the global program for the eradication of PPR, and the overall coordination is being provided by AU AIBA. As you recall, AU AIBA was established in 1951 and originally was mainly concerned with rinderpest eradication, which was achieved in 2010, paving the way for the declaration of its global eradication by FAO and World Organization for Animal Health in June 2011. Rinderpest was the first animal disease to be eradicated. Important lessons can be drawn from rinderpest eradication success that apply to our efforts in PPR eradication. Eradication of rinderpest was only possible through coordination of efforts and harmonization of approaches led by AU AIBA. Furthermore, political support at the national level and mobilization of resources by member states was instrumental in the eradication efforts against PPR, against rinderpest. The long-term financial commitment by the European Union and other partners was instrumental in making the rinderpest eradication possible. I urge our member states to prioritize PPR eradication in line with the global objective and to mobilize more resources to kick PPR out of the continent for the benefit of the African people and the world at large. I also call upon technical and development partners to support the efforts being made by the regional economic communities and member states by mobilizing more resources to eradicate the disease. Ladies and gentlemen, as we roll out the continental program for the eradication of PPR by 2030, we should remain alive to the shared values created from the moment the young lamb or kid is born to the moment a glass of milk or a plate of mutton is set down on the table in millions of households across the continent, as well as putting Africa's animal resource development into the world animal resource economy. I wish to congratulate AU IBA and its partners for leading the continental efforts for the eradication of PPR. I have no doubt that just as AU IBA and our partners led efforts to eradicate rinderpest in Africa, that same resolve, leadership, and commitment will see us eradicate PPR as well. I salute the international community for standing with Africa in our efforts to eradicate PPR by 2030. Although I will not be working with the African Union when PPR is eradicated in 2030, I'll be monitoring progress from the outside, and I hope to be invited to celebrate either in late 2030 or early 2031. I thank you for your kind attention.
You'll be invited, Dr. Bahigwa. Thank you very much, Dr. Bahigwa, for those wonderful remarks. And as I was telling him, he will be invited. I'd now like to take the honor to invite Dr. Huyam Saleh to make a presentation of the Pan-African PPR eradication program and EU support to the eradication of PPR from Africa. Welcome, Madam.
Good evening to all. And I will stand on the protocol set earlier. I would like to thank our ministers for supporting AU IBAR in this journey, and thanking also the international community for their support and all our partners. This is a joint effort by the African Union, AU IBAR, AU BAMVAG, FAO, and WOHA, but the leading implementers are the member states and our regional economic communities. So we are supporting them. We are preparing the stage for the coordination of the efforts for eradicating PPR. So bear with me. I will give you some justifications for why this is our priority. Okay. So these are the outlines of my presentations. Why eradicating PPR is a priority for Africans and African Union, and what is the current status of PPR in Africa, and how to achieve this eradication. And I will give you some highlights about our Pan-African program and our new project, which we call it Phase 1, with the European Union support to the eradication of PPR from Africa, and what are the next steps? So first of all, PPR is impacting the food security in Africa. And there is lots of evidences, lots of researches, studies carried out in the continent. It states that livestock products comprises up to 30% of the diet in some regions in the continent. Goats and sheep are a primary protein source for many African households, and their mortality due to PPR can decrease the meat and milk productivity by over 50%. The loss of livestock impacts the dietary diversity, with reductions noted in protein intake. And we all know about the malnutrition issue in Africa. For that, we need to support so that the essential nutrient for both women and children, who are the future of the continent, should be there. Coming to the economic losses, you know that many African countries, depending on its economy on livestock. The direct economic losses from PPR in small ruminants in Africa estimated by 1.4 billion annually, impacting both livestock farmers and ecosystems dependent on balanced grazing practices and systems. And the issue is also touching on the smallholder producers as well. Over 300 million people in Africa depending on small ruminants for their livelihoods. So any disease, any problems impacting those small ruminants will affect their economy. Small ruminants accounts for up to 80% of some communities' income regions, like the Sahel, and the mortality rates in affected herds can reach up to 100% due to PPR. Then there is the socioeconomic impact. In the majority areas of pastoralist in Africa, small ruminants are taken care of by women. And speaking a lot of the gender empowerment, this disease is affecting our communities and households. They are contributing, the small ruminants, nearly 30 to 40% to the total livestock production in some African countries, and women are primarily responsible for the care of small ruminants. Therefore, they bear a disproportionate burden during the outbreaks. PPR leads to increased household poverty, and again can reduce the household income by 20 to 50%. Communities may experience social upheaval as families lose their primary source of income and food, leading to migration from their places. And we are living in Africa alive examples of this. In my country, the pastoralists displaced due to the drought in 1980s, they are still there, suffering the same poverty and problems. Coming to the impact on biodiversity, and I think many of you will find this challenging because it's also touched on the One Health and our ecosystem's health. In regions where domestic small ruminants and wild populations overlap, disease spillover is a concern. So the wildlife can be affected by up to 50%. And this, of course, will lead to affecting the balance of the ecosystems and biodiversity. A loss of 20 to 40% in local wildlife population can disrupt predator-prey dynamics. And in places where PPR is spreading and affecting the livestock, communities may go for wildlife, and that means lots of losses in wildlife resources. Overgrazing by reduced livestock populations can lead to an estimated 30% increase in soil erosion. And the soil erosion One of my colleagues were asking me for clarifying how this can happen. Usually livestock are contributing to the movement and aerating the soil by their move. So when there is a small number of livestock due to this disease, majority of our soil will become compact, and this will enhance a lot or increase a lot the erosion of the soil. The reduced livestock health affects vital ecosystem services like nutrient cycling, potentially leading to 15 to 20% decline in rangeland productivity as well. So those are the losses, those are the negative impacts of PPR. Coming to the rewards of if we achieved the eradication, what Africa will get. First, the sector, as I said, is contributing by 25% to agriculture GDP. The eradication would significantly enhance the productivity and the profitability of this sector in Africa. Learning from the global eradication of rinderpest that saved Africa over 1 billion annually, the PPR campaign can leverage similar strategies and technology. Eradication of PPR would enhance food security, increase resilience for millions of vulnerable households. It's estimated that successful eradication will lead to family incomes from small ruminants that increase by 15 to 30%. Initial investments in vaccines and surveillance are estimated at 990 million over 15 years for eradication strategy, with potential return of 3.5 billion from avoided losses and increased production. Comparing 990 million to 1.4 billion a year, I think this campaign needs our attention and also support. Livestock sector employment could increase by approximately 20%, and this will remain in Africa and contribute to the development, the sustainable development. The disease-free status will enhance the inter-African trade by eliminating the trade barriers related to livestock diseases. And if we manage to strengthen the capacities to eradicate PPR, this will subsequently lead to the improved overall animal health systems in the continent, and we can control more diseases. And it will also support the public health, because to eradicate PPR, we need to do lots of work, cross-border checking, and this for sure will support the public health systems by early detection of diseases. Finally, all these efforts will support our African Union Agenda 2063 and contributes to achieving SDG 1, no poverty, and SDG 2, zero hunger. Those are the key milestones that walked by the African Union. In 2010, the eradication of PPR was an AU priority policy issue, as per the Executive Council decisions. And then the Pan-African Strategy for Progressive Control for PPR was developed. In 2015, the Pan-African program that we are talking about here was developed for controlling and eradicating PPR. 2021, the fourth STC urged for resources for a continentally coordinated program for the eradication of PPR from Africa by 2030. In 2024, the Executive Council endorsed the Pan-African Program for the Eradication of PPR 2023-2027 for immediate implementation, while approving the establishment of the BAPS, or the Pan-African PPR Secretariat at AU IBAR. 2025, we all witnessed the extraordinary summit in Kampala, where the PPR eradication was prioritized in the Kampala Declaration. So this is the current status of PPR in Africa. We are going to our source, which is the World Organization for Animal Health, and this is updated map for January 2025. There is only 6 countries, all free from PPR, plus the 7th one is having free zone from PPR. The countries are Botswana, Eswatini, Lesotho, Madagascar, Mauritius, zone of South, the South zone for Namibia. You will see that in the map, all these countries are in Southern Africa. How to achieve the eradication? The Pan-African program. The overall objective of this program is to contribute to the food security, poverty alleviation, the resilience of livestock, dependent communities in Africa, and the economic growth of the affected countries. So the overall objectives is achieving all the negative adversing all the negative effects of PPR. And the main outputs of this program should be, first, PPR should be eradicated from Africa by 2030. The second one, the other small ruminant, as I said, will be controlled, and the veterinary services in Africa will be strengthened. To do that, we need to consider all these components. First, partnership and coordination, and monitoring and evaluation for our plans. And for that, our project supported by the European Union is a joint collaborative project with all the stakeholders. Innovative funding models and resource mobilization, we need to think about the sustainability of the eradication of PPR and building resilient veterinary services in the continent. We need research and innovation and technology. This was a great success during the Peste eradication, where the thermostable vaccine was developed. Advocacy and stakeholders, private sector engagement, ensuring vaccine quality control, biosafety and biosecurity, make sure that we are conducting the epidemiological surveillance, reporting and laboratory diagnosis, and all these to achieve a comprehensive vaccination and post-vaccination monitoring. The Pan-African strategy has 4 stages. The first stage is epidemiological and socioeconomic impact assessment, and the second one is a progressive control. The third one, where we are launching, is the start of the eradication of the disease. And the fourth stage should be the verification of the absence and obtaining the free status as per the procedures of WUHA. In 2023, the STC approved these 4 objectives for our program for 2023-2027. First, eradication of PPR from Africa by 2030, improved small ruminant value chain efficiency and access to market, particularly for women, youth, and other vulnerable groups, enhance access to animal health services along the value chains and markets, and enhance coordination, partnership, and management. The budget estimated for this program is 528 million euros. And I'm quite sure this was an old estimation. EU member states supposed to provide 30% of this budget, and I'm quite sure there's many countries in Africa started already the eradication process, and we are very grateful for the support by the political will at the heads of states level and the ministers. Development partners to support by 70%, so the needed budget is 370 million euros. 8 million were committed and contracted by the European Union, and here we thank the EU for the support. EU has went a long journey with African Union to eradicate the rinderpest from Africa, and they are committed to support Africa again for the PPR eradication. And this has been contracted, and today we are also launching this project to start. There is Thank you. There is negotiation over, again, 90 million euros for the second phase of the eradication of the PPR. And today in this room we have our consultants appointed by FAO to support the formulation of the second phase. Coming to the EU support PPR eradication from Africa, as I said, it's a joint collaboration supported by EU and implemented by African Union, IPAR and BAMVAC, FAO and RUHA. The contract was signed in November 2024 and it will last until November 2027. This is a theory of change. I'm quite sure you're not seeing a lot, but the main outputs and key results of this project is establishing the Pan-African PPR Secretariat. And it will be established in AU IBAR with staff from IBAR, BAMVAC, Regional Economic Communities, FAO, and RUHA. To do what? First, the small ruminant value chains mobility and trade will be mapped. Second, PPR risk will be mapped for delineating the PPR ecosystems so that our vaccination strategy will be following the ecosystem approach. Then we will come up with a resource mobilization strategy for all the stages of the PPR eradication. REX and AU member states' capacities will be supported. AU member states eligible for PPR freedom status will be also supported. And we shall innovate sustainable business models for the PPR vaccination to accelerate the vaccination. I know the governments are doing a lot, but we need more partners in this. And here I'm speaking mainly about the private sector. We need their engagement more in this process. So these are the BAP's function: to coordinate the eradication, to enhance the linkage with the global PPR eradication efforts, to provide technical backstopping for the regional and national activities, to support securing resources necessary, and to support the resource mobilization. These are the composition, as I told you, is from all the partners, and there will be regional coordinators in the REX. This is how the BAPs will be operating in linkages to the Global PPR Advisory Committee, the Global Secretariat for PPR Eradication, and also with having all the necessary structures at the regional economic community levels and at national levels as well. We have other initiatives done by AU IPAR, BAMVAC, and the partners, because eradicating of PPR wouldn't be done in only one phase of project. First, we have the public-private partnership. We have initiated with the World Organization for Animal Health, the African Forum for PPPs, and this to be operated soon. It has been launched last November. Market access initiative. We need to support private sector entities in accessing markets for veterinary products and also giving incentives for increased investments in disease control measures. And here the political will is needed. Information sharing platforms. We have our African Union system, ARIS. It needs to be more improved to ensure that the reporting is in place. We have the WAHIS with RUHA, and there is other data platforms that to be developed and established by AU IBAR to ensure that the data on the value chains at the regional economic communities levels is available for private sector, for stakeholders to ensure the investments. One of the projects that we are so keen to achieve is the animal resources performance databases and platforms and dashboard in AU IBAR. Integrated disease management, promote the holistic approach to combine PPR eradication efforts with broader animal health initiatives, such as vaccination against other diseases, and that was happening during the interbreast eradication. After the eradication, the CPPP, contagious bovine pleural pneumonia, was controlled a lot. After the eradication stopped, the vaccinations dropped. For that, we think about the innovative models. Sustainability focus, encouraging the development of sustainable animal health practices within the private sector to ensure long-term commitment and involvement in disease control. Advocacy and awareness campaign, and we do this with the owners, with the public, community, different media platforms. My last slide is about the way forward and the next steps. First of all, we need to fast-track the resource mobilization for a similar preparatory project for North Africa. This project we are launching today is mainly for sub-Saharan Africa, and we cannot achieve the eradication from the whole continent without having a similar project to involve North Africa, UMA region plus Egypt. Strengthen the advocacy for PPR eradication from Africa, improve coordinated efforts between partners, RECs, and AU member states, support PPPs to deliver veterinary services along livestock value chains, and ensuring producers, PPPs, capacities, and enabling environment in Africa are supported. And this needs lots of work because some countries, they have the legal frameworks, but we don't have the units to identify the gaps for the investments. Improving African vaccine production and harmonized registration procedures. This is well needed in Africa, and we need to support the African capacities to produce not only PPR, but all the diseases vaccines that are affecting our trade and economy. Enhanced and focused vaccination based on ecosystem approach, and for that, targeting one country wouldn't be sufficient. We need to think about the ecosystems, the pastoral movement, and the transhumans. By this, I reach the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for your attention.
I think we can clap again for the director. Thank you very much, Director, for going through the detail and helping us to understand not just the complexity of this project, but the level of coordination that it requires, the level of effort, the level of commitment. But what is most powerful about this presentation is all the preparatory work that has been done. I think we are ready to make it by 2030. Aren't we ready? We should clap for ourselves. Thank you very much, Director. We cannot do this without political leadership for this program. This is extremely important to have our political leadership, to have political will, to have our political leaders actually galvanize the resources, galvanize the communities, galvanize all our efforts together. So I would like now to call upon our champions, our ministers who have taken time off their extremely busy schedules and have given priority to this important launch. I want to take the honor to invite His Excellency Dr. Girma Amente, Minister of Agriculture of Ethiopia, to make his comments. I'm sorry, we have just consulted. I'd like to change that a little bit. Okay, so I would like to invite His Excellency Dr. Abderrahim Awat Atieb, the Minister of Livestock and Animal Production of Chad. Please, can we welcome him?
Bonsoir. Mesdames et Messieurs les ministres en charge des ressources animales, Madame la directrice générale du Bureau interafricain des ressources animales de l'Union africaine, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs les ambassadeurs, chefs de délégation et représentants des organisations sous-régionales, régionales et internationales, Mesdames et Messieurs les délégués des différents pays, distingués invités, Mesdames et Messieurs, en vos rangs, grades et qualités, tout protocole observé. C'est avec un grand intérêt que je prends la parole devant cette auguste assemblée, solennellement à l'occasion de cette grande rencontre dédiée au programme d'éradication de la peste des petits ruminants en Afrique. De prime abord, je voudrais exprimer au nom du gouvernement de la République du Tchad mes sincères remerciements à la Commission de l'Union africaine pour l'accueil combien chaleureux et l'hospitalité légendaire dont nous avons bénéficié depuis notre arrivée dans cette belle cité d'Addis Abeba. Qu'il me soit également permis d'adresser mes sincères remerciements et mes vives félicitations aux parties prenantes de cet important programme panafricain de haut niveau et particulièrement au président de la Commission de l'Union africaine, aux communautés économiques régionales, à mes collègues ministres en charge des ressources animales des États membres de l'Union africaine et aux partenaires au développement. L'élevage des petits ruminants occupe une place importante dans nos pays sahéliens. Les petits ruminants constituent ainsi un filet de sécurité pour les femmes et les jeunes vulnérables aux chocs et aux troubles socio-économiques. Cependant, cet élevage des petits ruminants est confronté à différents défis dont la santé des animaux. La peste des petits ruminants est une maladie qui entraîne de lourdes pertes chez les caprins et les ovins, un appauvrissement des éleveurs et un impact considérable sur le coût de la lutte dans nos différents pays. Cette lutte, qui va nécessiter beaucoup de ressources, démontre ainsi qu'elle est un obstacle réel de développement de l'élevage dans les pays où elle sévit. Comme dans le cadre de la lutte contre la peste bovine, il est également judicieux de conjuguer nos efforts en vue de bouter hors de notre continent africain la peste des petits ruminants. Mesdames et Messieurs, cette lutte fut traduite de manière concrète par l'élaboration et l'adoption du programme mondial d'éradication de la dite maladie, dont les stratégies régionales, sous-régionales et nationales en découlent. Le plan national et stratégique de lutte contre la PPR du Tchad a décliné dans une vision à long terme avec des gaps budgétaires à combler. Les budgets nécessaires à la mise en œuvre de ce PNS sont considérables pour le Tchad au vu de la taille de son cheptel. Seule une coalition des interventions des différents bailleurs de fonds pourrait permettre de rapprocher les objectifs au niveau des réalisations souhaitées. C'est le lieu de réitérer au nom du gouvernement de la République du Tchad notre profonde gratitude pour cette initiative salvatrice qui vient à point nommé. Nous exprimons nos sincères remerciements à l'Union africaine par le biais du Bureau interafricain pour les ressources animales, le BIRA, et du Centre panafricain de vaccins PANVAC, en collaboration avec l'Organisation des Nations Unies pour l'alimentation et l'agriculture, la FAO, et l'Organisation mondiale de la santé, OMSA, et à des parties prenantes régionales et internationales pour avoir élaboré le nouveau programme panafricain pour l'éducation de la PPR. Mesdames et Messieurs, dès le début de la mise en œuvre des stratégies nationales en 2017, des efforts ont été consentis par les différents pays de la CEAC avec l'appui des partenaires techniques et financiers ci mentionnés. Cependant, les défis restent forts pour nombre des États de la zone, et plus particulièrement mon pays, le Tchad, dont le secteur de l'élevage figure parmi les priorités du gouvernement de la Ve République. En effet, le Tchad, pays à vocation agro-pastorale par excellence, compte un cheptel important, estimé à 156 632 251 de têtes, toutes espèces confondues, dont 48 652 175 au vin et 49 308 574 caprins. Conscient de l'importance du contrôle et de l'éradication des maladies animales transfrontalières émergentes et réémergentes, condition sine qua non pour le maintien du potentiel de production et de sa valorisation, notre pays a adhéré dès le début du processus mondial de contrôle d'éradication de la peste de petits ruminants, dont la prévalence globale a été estimée à 52,85% en 2018. Cela se traduit par l'élaboration et l'adoption du plan national et stratégique PPR couvrant la période 2017 à 2027, la révision et l'adoption de ces plans PNS-PPR qui couvrent la période de 2022 à 2029, la mobilisation d'autres partenaires pour le financement des campagnes annuelles de vaccination contre la péripneumonie contagieuse bovine et la peste des petits ruminants. La mise en œuvre effective du plan national et stratégique à travers l'organisation des campagnes annuelles de vaccination des petits ruminants, suivi des campagnes d'évaluation sérologique et largement soutenues par le ministère à travers différents programmes et projets que sont le projet régional d'appui au pastoralisme au Sahel PRAPS, c'est le financement de la Banque mondiale via la composante santé animale, laquelle a inscrit au titre des actions prioritaires le contrôle et l'éradication de la PPR. Le projet de renforcement et de productivité des exploitations agro-pastorales, familiales et résilience sur le financement de FIDA. Les fonds des Nations Unies pour l'alimentation et l'agriculture, le programme de renforcement de l'élevage pastoral sur le financement de la coopération suisse, le comité international de la Croix-Rouge, l'Union européenne, la Commission du bassin du lac Tchad et bien d'autres qui accompagnent le Tchad dans l'atteinte de ces objectifs. Il est évident qu'au niveau continental, les efforts coordonnés et harmonisés ainsi que la mobilisation des ressources nécessaires en vue de contrôler et d'éradiquer la PPR continueront d'être menés à différents niveaux par les parties prenantes. Mesdames et messieurs, en ces jours solennels de lancement du programme africain d'éradication de la peste des petits ruminants, le gouvernement de la République du Tchad réaffirme son ferme engagement politique dans la lutte contre la peste des petits ruminants en vue de son éradication au Tchad et en Afrique, car la maladie menace directement les moyens de subsistance des populations les plus défavorisées de nos pays, entraînant ainsi des pertes importantes et considérables dans nos économies locales. Je ne saurais terminer mon propos sans adresser notre satisfaction et notre reconnaissance à l'ensemble des partenaires techniques et financiers pour leur appui multiforme permettant le développement socio-économique harmonieux des pays de l'Afrique. Je vous remercie pour votre aimable attention.
Thank you very much. Can we give him another clap, please, for those remarks? I'd now like to invite another minister from Central Africa, Honorable Dr. Tiger from Central Africa, yes, is in Cameroon is in Central Africa. I'd like to invite Honorable Dr. Tiger from Cameroon, the Minister of Livestock, Fisheries and Animal Industries of Cameroon. Please, sir, you're most welcome.
Excellences, Monsieur le ministre de l'Agriculture de la République fédérale démocratique d'Éthiopie, pays hôte. Excellences, Monsieur le ministre d'État de l'Industrie animale de la République d'Ouganda, Excellences, Monsieur le ministre de l'Élevage et des productions animales de la République du Tchad, Excellences, Monsieur le ministre des Ressources animales et halieutiques de la République de Côte d'Ivoire, Excellences, Madame la commissaire de la Commission de l'Union africaine chargée de l'agriculture, du développement rural, de l'économie bleue et de l'environnement, Madame la directrice générale de l'UABIRA, Excellences, Messieurs les ambassadeurs et représentants permanents, Mesdames et Messieurs les délégués, Mesdames et Messieurs, en vos rangs, titres, grades, tout protocole respecté, Mesdames et Messieurs, le Cameroun, par ma voix, est honoré d'avoir été invité au lancement du programme panafricain d'éradication de la peste des petits ruminants et du contrôle d'autres maladies prioritaires des petits ruminants en Afrique depuis 2030. Le Cameroun est un pays d'élevage et l'élevage y joue un rôle important. Conscient de cet état de choses, le gouvernement a, à travers le ministère de l'Élevage, des Pêches et des Industries animales, le ministère assure l'encadrement et la promotion de l'élevage afin de satisfaire les besoins nutritionnels des populations et de contribuer à l'économie nationale. Cela passe notamment par un suivi sanitaire de tous les instants. Si l'élevage en général est l'un des piliers de l'économie camerounaise, l'élevage des petits ruminants est un des piliers de l'économie et l'élevage des petits ruminants fait partie des principales sources de subsistance des petits producteurs. De nombreuses familles constituent la première source d'épargne facilement mobilisable qui permet de subvenir aux besoins des familles. Les moutons et les chèvres sont principalement sollicités lors des manifestations socio-culturelles. Vous en connaissez, la fête de moutons, les fêtes de Noël, etc. Malheureusement, la peste des petits ruminants sévit de manière endémique partout dans le monde, et particulièrement en Afrique, ainsi qu'au Cameroun. Je précise également qu'au Cameroun, l'agriculture au sens large, production végétale, élevage, aquaculture et pêche, occupe près de 70% de la population active et participe largement à l'essor de l'économie nationale. C'est pourquoi le président de la République du Cameroun, son Excellence Paul Biya, n'a cessé de rappeler que, je le cite, le Cameroun compte avant tout sur le secteur primaire, notamment l'agriculture et l'élevage, la pêche et l'artisanat pour devenir à l'horizon 2035 un pays émergent. Fin de citation. Le Cameroun, disais-je, est une terre d'élevage et pour préserver et fructifier son capital bétail, la lutte contre les pathologies est donc primordiale. C'est pourquoi il existe au sein de la direction des services vétérinaires du Cameroun un programme dénommé Programme de couverture sanitaire des cheptels et de lutte contre les zoonoses. Il existe également un dispositif de surveillance dénommé Réseau d'épidémiosurveillance, en abrégé RESCAM. C'est avec ce dispositif institutionnel que le Cameroun mène une lutte acharnée contre la peste des petits ruminants, objet de notre rencontre de ce jour. Concernant la lutte contre la peste des petits ruminants au Cameroun, maladie redoutable, tout est parti de l'initiative de la FAO et de l'OIE, aujourd'hui OMSA, lors de la conférence internationale sur le contrôle et l'éradication de la PPR du globe à l'horizon 2035, conférence tenue à Abidjan en 2015. J'y étais personnellement. Le Cameroun s'est donc immédiatement inscrit dans ce processus et a mis en place son propre programme de contrôle et d'éradication de la PPR. La stratégie naturelle adoptée s'est adossée sur une vaccination massive, de masse, des animaux sur la base d'un plan national de contrôle et d'éradication de la PPR, adopté dès 2017. Les services vétérinaires ont donc mis en œuvre toutes les activités de contrôle et d'éradication. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, l'occasion m'est donc ainsi donnée de partager avec vous l'expérience du Cameroun en matière de lutte contre la PPR. En effet, la démarche du Cameroun s'est déroulée en plusieurs étapes, à savoir l'élaboration, avec l'appui de la FAO, en 2015, d'un plan stratégique national de prévention et de contrôle de la PPR. Par la suite, il y a eu la mise en place d'un programme national de contrôle et d'éradication de la PPR adopté en 2017. S'en est suivi les différentes activités préparatoires et d'éradication de cette maladie qui ont été déployées entre 2018 et 2023 avec l'organisation des opérations de vaccination proprement dites en 3 campagnes successives. Une évaluation a été ensuite réalisée et actuellement la phase de surveillance est en cours. Mesdames et messieurs, dans la pratique, les services vétérinaires ont mis en œuvre les activités programmées de contrôle. Le financement des opérations a été assuré par 3 sources complémentaires, à savoir le gouvernement d'abord, qui a mobilisé les ressources internes et son personnel. Ensuite, la Banque mondiale, quant à elle, a financé le projet de développement de l'élevage. Ce projet a permis l'organisation des campagnes de vaccination gratuites pendant 3 années successives, 2019, 2020 et 2021. Il y a eu également l'accompagnement du Comité international de la Croix-Rouge, qui a financé et continue encore de financer des campagnes dans des zones frontalières objets de conflit. Vous savez, avec la crise du Boko Haram, à la lisière entre le Tchad, le Cameroun et le Nigeria. C'est dans cette zone que le CICR intervient. Il est important de noter également, et ceci est très important pour, je pense, comme leçon tirée, l'implication du secteur privé vétérinaire dans la mise en œuvre de ces opérations. Le gouvernement a permis, sur fonds publics, l'installation d'une centaine de docteurs vétérinaires en clientèle privée, ce qui a permis de densifier l'offre et la qualité de services vétérinaires. Services aux producteurs, bien sûr. Quant aux effectifs vaccinés, c'est l'ensemble du cheptel qui a été concerné et nous avons noté, dès la première année, environ 4 800 000 têtes de petits ruminants vaccinés. La deuxième campagne a permis de relever à 5 500 000 et la troisième campagne à 6 500 000 petits ruminants pendant toute cette période. De façon globale, plus de 332 717 ménages ont bénéficié de la campagne gratuite de vaccination. Au niveau national, 10,2% des propriétaires de petits ruminants sont des femmes. Parmi les principales difficultés, parce qu'il y en a eu, on peut signaler les mouvements incontrôlés des mouvements aux frontières. Vous connaissez nos frontières qui sont assez poreuses. L'absence d'un système d'identification spécifique aux petits ruminants et le marquage des animaux. Et puis une faible coordination au niveau sous-régional. Parce que le Cameroun s'est retrouvé à un moment donné isolé sans que cela se passe, avant que le Tchad ne commence à procéder à sa campagne de vaccination. De ce qui précède, s'agissant de l'évaluation des mesures de surveillance, sur la base d'un outil développé, le PPR Monitoring and Assessment Tool, le Cameroun peut se situer dès la fin au stade 3, tel qu'énoncé par l'OIA tout à l'heure, au stade 3 de l'approche progressive de contrôle de l'éradication. Le taux de séroprévalence post-vaccinale a été évalué au niveau national à 71% au bout des 3 campagnes massives successives. La mission de processus d'évaluation de la performance des services vétérinaires, le PVS, conduite en juin 2023 par les experts de l'OMSA, montre que le Cameroun dispose de capacités suffisantes dans les domaines de diagnostic, de la prévention, du contrôle et de l'implication des parties prenantes. En ce qui concerne la surveillance en cours, le réseau de surveillance que j'ai cité plus haut, principal outil de surveillance des maladies animales au Cameroun, a bénéficié de divers appuis, entre autres, parce qu'il faut les citer, de l'OMSA, qui a appuyé le réseau, de la FAO, du Bureau interafricain des ressources animales, l'UAIBAR, et de la Commission économique du bétail, de la viande et des ressources halieutiques, CBVIRA. Au niveau du diagnostic, les capacités du laboratoire national vétérinaire ont été renforcées à travers des formations organisées par différents partenaires techniques. L'Agence d'énergie atomique, que je remercie par ailleurs, la FAO, des dotations en équipements et réactifs divers consommables la navette, au laboratoire. Je citerai ici le gouvernement des États-Unis à travers un programme spécifique de lutte contre les maladies. Au total, plus de 17 000 échantillons ont pu être analysés. Un peu plus de 26 millions de doses de vaccins ont été produites et livrées dans le cadre de ce programme. En matière de partage d'expérience, parce qu'il fallait effectivement qu'on échange avec les autres, le Cameroun a accueilli en avril 2024 la réunion d'harmonisation des activités de contrôle et d'éradication de la PPR dans les pays de l'épisystème du lac Tchad. Il s'est agi de trouver des supports permanents, pertinents de plaidoyer afin de sensibiliser toutes les parties prenantes, le Nigeria, la République centrafricaine, le Tchad et le Cameroun, sur l'approche épisystème, d'encourager les pays africains du lac Tchad à s'engager dans des discussions orientées vers des actions concrètes pour l'éradication, de mettre en œuvre l'approche épisystémique dans les communautés économiques régionales pour une lutte efficace et d'élaborer des recommandations pour une meilleure intégration de cette approche. Les vaccins utilisés, d'où venaient-ils? Les vaccins utilisés ont été produits localement au Cameroun par le laboratoire national vétérinaire, après le contrôle par le Centre panafricain des vaccins vétérinaires de l'Union africaine PADVAC. Je profite de cette occasion pour faire connaître que ce laboratoire, le LANAVET, est prêt à satisfaire les demandes des vaccins dans le cadre de ce programme que nous lançons aujourd'hui. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, avec le lancement ce jour du programme panafricain, le Cameroun s'inscrit dans la poursuite des opérations avec l'appui de l'Union africaine, que je remercie à l'avance d'avoir associé le Cameroun dans cette dynamique d'éradication et de contrôle de la peste en Afrique. De même, certaines actions urgentes doivent être entreprises, comme le développement d'une stratégie de vaccination sous-régionale. Il faut que ce soit groupé. Il ne faut pas faire des vaccinations chacun à son tour et à des temps qui sont tout à fait éloignés. Il faut grouper les vaccinations de manière sous-régionale. Un meilleur contrôle des mouvements de bétail également exigé. Mesdames et messieurs, permettez-moi pour terminer de remercier et de transmettre la gratitude du gouvernement du Cameroun à tous les partenaires qui ont contribué à cette lutte au Cameroun. Je commencerai par la FAO, l'Union africaine, le gouvernement des États-Unis, la Croix-Rouge, le Bureau interafricain des ressources animales et l'ensemble des autres partenaires que je n'ai pu citer ici, qui ont apporté leur concours au Cameroun. Après la phase 1, parce que nous en avons fait, du programme d'éradication au Cameroun, le Cameroun s'inscrit donc volontiers dans ce programme qui est en cours de lancement. Honorable assistance, je vous remercie de votre bien aimable attention.
Can we give another big clap? I can see that we are going to meet the 2030 deadline, timeline, isn't it? I see somebody agreeing with me behind there. Because already we have countries that are showing us the way and that are also sharing what they're learning already. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I'd like now to have the honor to invite Your Excellency, Monsieur Sidi Tiemoko Toure, who is the Minister of Animal Resources, Côte d'Ivoire. Please welcome the Minister with me.
Excellence, Madame la Commissaire de l'Union africaine, Excellence, Monsieur le ministre d'État et Messieurs les ministres en charge de l'élevage ici présents, parmi lesquels j'aimerais reconnaître notre collègue de la République fédérale d'Éthiopie qui nous accueille, distingués partenaires techniques et financiers, honorables invités, mesdames et messieurs. Avant tout propos, j'aimerais dire merci à toute l'Assemblée pour la minute de silence accordée et observée en la mémoire de l'ambassadeur Cissé, ce champion de la lutte pour l'éradication de la peste des petits ruminants qui malheureusement nous a lâchés il y a de cela quelques semaines. Il faut, tout en continuant mon propos, reconnaître que c'est en 1942 que la peste des petits ruminants qui affecte aujourd'hui l'ensemble de notre continent a été identifiée en Côte d'Ivoire. Et 83 années plus tard, notre présence à cette rencontre vient renforcer notre conviction selon laquelle nous sommes à un tournant historique dans la lutte contre cette maladie. La Côte d'Ivoire, mon pays, est honorée de contribuer à cette initiative historique qui vise à éradiquer une maladie qui a un impact significatif sur nos économies rurales et sur les moyens de subsistance de nos communautés les plus vulnérables. C'est la raison pour laquelle je souhaiterais à l'entame de ces propos remercier au nom du président de la République de Côte d'Ivoire, son Excellence Alassane Ouattara, notre sincère reconnaissance et nos remerciements à l'Union africaine et à l'ensemble des partenaires techniques et financiers pour l'organisation de cet événement majeur, sans oublier bien sûr la République fédérale d'Éthiopie pour son hospitalité légendaire. Honorables invités, mesdames et messieurs, la Côte d'Ivoire possède aujourd'hui un cheptel de plus de 6,2 millions de petits ruminants, dont 2,75 millions d'ovins et 3,48 millions de caprins. Ces animaux représentent bien plus que des chiffres. Ils constituent l'un des poumons de notre économie rurale et fait vivre 249 000 exploitants, dont 20% de femmes. C'est l'une des raisons pour lesquelles la lutte contre la PPR qui menace gravement ce capital économique et social reste une priorité et un défi à relever. À ce sujet, une étude réalisée en 2018 a relevé une prévalence sérologique inquiétante de 33,77%. La conséquence de ce qui précède est que malheureusement, chaque année, la maladie décime au moins 180 000 animaux, infligeant à notre économie des pertes colossales estimées à 26 milliards de francs CFA. Il faut même préciser que dans certaines régions, les taux de mortalité peuvent atteindre 70% en période sèche, mettant en péril la survie et la sécurité alimentaire de certaines communautés. Mesdames et messieurs, pour trouver des solutions durables visant à relever ce défi, la Côte d'Ivoire a adopté en 2019 le programme national de contrôle et d'éradication de la PPR avec un besoin de financement estimé à 8,8 milliards de francs CFA. Ce programme aligné sur les objectifs mondiaux de l'OMSA et de la FAO repose sur plusieurs piliers qui sont le renforcement des campagnes de vaccination, l'amélioration des systèmes de surveillance épidémiologique, la sensibilisation des éleveurs et enfin, la mobilisation des ressources nationales et internationales. Concernant le renforcement des campagnes de vaccination, il faut noter que depuis 2021, l'État de Côte d'Ivoire a intensifié ses efforts de vaccination des populations des petits ruminants à travers des campagnes de vaccination annuelles qui permettent de protéger plus de 500 000 petits ruminants en moyenne par an. À ce sujet, il faut préciser qu'en 2023, avec l'appui de la coopération suisse et de la CEDEAO, plus d'1 million de petits ruminants ont été vaccinés le long de la frontière ivoiro-ghanéenne avec un taux de couverture vaccinale de 85%. Relativement à l'amélioration des systèmes de surveillance épidémiologique, nous avons amélioré nos capacités analytiques et développé un outil électronique de collecte de données sanitaires en temps réel pour assurer une détection précoce des foyers de maladies et une cartographie précise des cas. Au titre de la mobilisation des ressources nationales et internationales, le gouvernement ivoirien a mobilisé des fonds propres et reçu un appui des partenaires techniques et financiers tels que la FAO, le FIDA, la CEDEAO et la coopération suisse pour exécuter des projets pilotes. Toutefois, un financement additionnel de plusieurs milliards de francs CFA reste nécessaire à mobiliser pour atteindre les objectifs ambitieux de ce programme. Mesdames et messieurs, à ce stade de mon propos, j'aimerais que nous puissions garder à l'esprit que malgré ces progrès enregistrés, de nombreux challenges nécessitent la synergie des efforts et le renforcement de notre collaboration régionale et continentale, notamment au niveau de la question du contrôle transfrontalier des maladies animales, de l'accroissement des capacités de vaccination et la nécessité de mobiliser plus de ressources. La Côte d'Ivoire est consciente que l'éradication de la PPR nécessite une approche régionale coordonnée. C'est pourquoi nous avons adressé des correspondances aux pays membres de la CEDEAO à l'effet de soutenir la requête régionale formulée auprès de la Banque africaine de développement, la BAD, et ces initiatives transfrontalières démontrent notre engagement à participer à une solution sous-régionale et continentale pour venir à bout de la peste des petits ruminants. Mesdames et messieurs, je voudrais donc saluer l'engagement de l'Union africaine et des partenaires au développement pour la création d'un secrétariat panafricain de coordination de l'investissement dans des programmes comme celui que nous lançons aujourd'hui. La Côte d'Ivoire confirme également son engagement à poursuivre et à intensifier ses efforts pour le financement des campagnes annuelles de vaccination. Elle s'engage également à renforcer ses programmes transfrontaliers et sa participation aux initiatives régionales de la CEDEAO et de l'Union africaine. Honorables invités, mesdames et messieurs, permettez-moi de saisir cette occasion pour lancer un appel à tous les États membres partenaires et donateurs à l'effet d'accroître les financements destinés aux campagnes de vaccination et de renforcement des systèmes de santé animale, de favoriser le transfert de compétences et de technologies pour améliorer les capacités nationales et régionales, de renforcer enfin les alliances stratégiques afin de garantir une harmonisation et une coordination efficace des efforts à travers le continent. L'éradication de la PPR en Afrique est un objectif ambitieux mais réalisable. En unissant nos efforts, nous pouvons libérer des millions de familles africaines des impacts négatifs de cette maladie et transformer le secteur de l'élevage en un moteur de croissance inclusif et durable. Je souhaite réitérer à cet effet l'engagement ferme de la Côte d'Ivoire à travailler main dans la main avec tous les acteurs impliqués pour l'atteinte de l'objectif d'éradication de la PPR d'ici 2030. Ensemble, faisons de cette ambition une réalité durable pour le bien-être des populations. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I think we need to give him another clap for that powerful call, for the confidence that he has placed that with the experience from his own country, we can achieve the goal of eradicating PPR from the African continent by 2030. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. And that was a voice from West Africa. I now have the honor to call on Your Excellency, Honorable Lieutenant Colonel Retired Bright Ramirama, State Minister for Animal Industry, Uganda, to give us a voice from East Africa, a voice from the Kampala Declaration. Welcome, sir.
Our chief guest, Honorable Minister from Ethiopia, colleagues, ministers, AU Commissioner Ambassador Sako, direct representatives, the Pan-African Parliament, AU representatives, the donor community, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, and also on behalf of the government of Uganda, I'm very honored and privileged to be one of the ministers present here at the launch of Pan-African PPR Control and Eradication Program that is important for our animal resources sector, for the prosperity of our African people. The status of PPR in Uganda is that Uganda we have 17.4 million goats and 5 million sheep, all susceptible to PPR. And we have been doing both vaccination, treatment, and awareness campaign. Unfortunately, we do it alone, and yet this disease is transboundary in nature. The impact of PPR on food and nutrition security is enormous and has been highlighted by many speakers. I don't want to repeat what has been said. About 30% of our nutrition requirement comes from the animal protein. And in Africa, this provides a very big part of our food and nutrition security. For the economic impact, it has also been highlighted by the director, and it's not different from most of our neighbors in East Africa. Our population depends entirely on income from agriculture, and the animal sector provides a very huge percentage of this resource. The strategy for eradication has been elaborated. I want to emphasize the following. The resources are required, both domestic and external support. And I urge my colleagues, ministers, from the presentation I had, seems everybody is doing, every country is making an effort to eradicate PPR. However, we need, as ministers, to combine and make a lot of lobby to make sure that our budgets for this program are beefed up. The program approach is very elaborate and requires us to work on a program approach. What has been a problem with fighting animal diseases, especially those that are transboundary in nature, is that every country works on its own, and at the end of the day, we don't eradicate PPR. We don't eradicate some of these diseases because reinfection occurs. Political support is necessary. Political decisions are economic decisions. I want to pledge as minister and urge my colleagues that we need to put our voices together and convince our heads of state to make sure that this is done on program approach so that we can eradicate PPR. Finally, vaccination is the future. The present and the future sustainable animal production system requires us to invest in preventive measures than actually treatment. Be it PPR, be it any, we require to do vaccination. I have been sharing a lot on this program with the AU IBA, and this morning I had a meeting with a team from WAHA, and I think we agreed that actually we need to work with these two agencies so that we reap the benefits of working together with them. The benefits range from technical assistance, procurement of high quality vaccine, and also attract donor support in our regional and domestic program. The future, therefore, is in the animal resource production system is more in preventive than actually moving around treating animals and without solving the problem. Finally, I want to thank the donor community, the AU for your inestimable support, and you have not done only to PPR, but you have done support. You have given us support in many programs to fight diseases, including Peste. I am sure with your support, we shall go a long way to eradicate PPR. I want to thank FAO for your continuous support and actually working with us at country level to eradicate some of these diseases. I want to thank the World Organization for Animal Health for your continued advice and technical assistance when we need it. Finally, I want to thank AU IBA and thank you especially my dear sister Ambassador Sako for the effort you have put in this program and other programs. And we thank you for successfully hosting CADAP successfully. Thank you for listening to me, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for mobilizing your fellow ministers to make this a program approach, to put it as part of your budgets. We want to thank you very much for making that call. Can we make a big clap for him for that? Also want to thank you so much for saying we cannot do this as disparate countries. We need to work across the countries. This is a message from all the other ministers, but thank you so much for that, Minister. We have seen how our ministers, our champions who are here with us today, have lobbied for us to have political will, and there are very clear statements on what that political will looks like. I like what the minister said, political decisions are economic decisions. This is very true. Thank you, Your Excellencies, for excellent lobbying for eradication of PPR. I want to move on quite fast, and this time we know, even from our ministers, that we cannot do this on our own. We appreciate, and we also want to hear from our donor community. I want to call our donor community, but I'll only give you 2 minutes. So I will not sit down, I'll stand next to you. We want to hear your voice, and we want to hear from you. Please, can I call EU, our representative from EU? If we have the representative from EU here, please. Okay. Can we have Mr. Haile Mariam? Haile Mistel. Please forgive me for murdering your name. from African Development Bank. Thank you, sir. You have 2 minutes to give your support for this program. After him, I will call on Islamic Development Bank.
Okay. Okay, thank you. My name is Haile Mariam, Haile Maskal, the correct name. Honorable ministers and honorable commissioner and honorable development partners, representatives and other international organizations, all protocol observed, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to first to apologize to Martin Fregan, Director of Agriculture and Agro-Industry Development Department, African Development Bank, who would have liked to participate in this important event. Unfortunately, he is busy with other commitments and will not be able to attend this important meeting. It gives me great pleasure to attend the event to launch the Pan-African Program for the Eradication of PPR in Africa by 2030 and the EU support to the eradication of PPR from Africa at the bank. We are grateful for the invitation to the President of the African Development Bank. Africa is on the point of transforming its agriculture sector, and the African Development Bank is proud to be part of Africa's agricultural transformation agenda. The bank is currently implementing its Feed Africa strategy, an ambitious plan to support the continent to achieve food self-sufficiency and increase competitiveness in global agricultural value chains by transforming 18 priority value chains, including livestock. Africa population is expected to reach 2.5 billion by 2050. The agricultural sector will transform not only to meet a spectacular increase in the demand for food, but also to satisfy the changing food preference of a growing middle class and an urbanized population. An increasing demand for animal source food such as meat, milk, and eggs are expected, and Africa livestock sector can benefit from this and the range of value-added product from the sector. Okay. Africa is a livestock-rich continent, representing about 1/3 of the world livestock population globally, and across Africa, the livestock sector accounts for about 40% of agricultural GDP. The potential opportunities for the livestock sector are immense. Animal source proteins account for 30% of the food import bill, projected to triple by 2025. Across Africa, the livestock sector is connected to communities' welfare, especially in dry and fragile areas, nutrition, culture, livelihood, and economies. Indeed, livestock contributes to the economy, enhance food and nutrition security, provides employment and traction power, store health, ensures household against disease, disaster risk, and improves soil fertility. Productivity levels in Africa livestock sector are currently very low. Improving the productivity of livestock system requires improvement in genetics, feed and health care of animals. The genetic potential of many livestock breeds is low, but they are often well adapted to the local environment. Genetic improvement can therefore make it possible to select high-performance breeds or to improve their performance while maintaining their adaptability to the environment. Increased livestock productivity and higher consumption can thus not only play a significant role in improving food security and nutrition, but also have both direct and indirect effects on overall long-term economic development. Over the last few years, the bank has given more and more attention to livestock sector. Thus, for the year 2025, the bank financing intentions for the livestock sector through investment project amount to USD 1 billion. And these investments are expected to increase significantly in the coming years, in line with the ambitions set by the bank in its livestock investment master plan, which is LiveMap. Indeed, in December 2020, the bank organized the validation workshop of its LiveMap, which was developed following a broad consultative process involving continental and international institutions. The aim of LiveMap is to develop a portfolio of integrated livestock solutions for regional member countries that will sustainably raise productivity and profitability of selected high-priority livestock systems, create agro-industry and employment along the value chains, and contribute to food and nutrition security. The bank has already proven through its TAT program, implemented in many countries, that the introduction of technology innovations can have a significant impact on agricultural value chain. Sheep and goats form the second largest livestock subsector with an approximate stock of 506 million and 419 million heads of respectively, and are recognized as ready source of food and cash, with women and disadvantaged households often relying on small ruminants. Small ruminants are an important means of rebuilding livelihood after natural and man-made shocks, comprising an important component of pastoral coping mechanisms. In this context, the PPR remains a significant challenge with severe negative socio-economic impacts on the income and the livestock farmers and the livelihood and security, food security of the most vulnerable rural communities, notably of women. The bank is convinced that only a regional approach will allow the eradication of PPR. To this end, for several years, the bank experts have been working with those of AU, IBAR, and FAO on a regional project to be funded by the bank. We have no doubt that this project will take place very soon. The bank remains optimistic that together we will be able to overcome the challenge of eradicating the PPR in Africa by 2030. Thank you very much for your attention.
So we have heard that the bank has increased its portfolio around livestock, and they are prepared to do even more, because we want to go in for blended financing, not just funding. We want to now take this into private sector. Can we just clap and thank him for representing all our donor community here today? I want to move quickly to international organizations that are our technical partners in this venture of eradicating PPR on the continent. So I would like to call the representative from ILRI to please come up, and I'm giving you 2 minutes, sir.
I will be brief, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Your Excellency, Commissioner of Agriculture and Rural Development, Blue Economy and Sustainable Environment. the honorable ministers of Cameroon, Chad, Côte d'Ivoire, Ethiopia, Nigeria, Uganda, and Zimbabwe, thank you for being here. The honorable excellencies from the EU, from the delegates from the donor agencies and from WAR, and the delegates representing the rural economic communities in the member states of the African Union, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Fabian Kausche, and I'm the relatively new Deputy Director General for Research and Innovation at the International Livestock Institute, ILRI, in Nairobi, and I represent the institute here today in Addis. I'm delighted to attend this launch and this occasion where we launched the Pan-African program for the eradication of the Peste, the PetitsRuminants. ILRI and the African Union, through the new Partnerships for Africa Development, the AU-NEPAD, the African Union Pan-African Veterinary Vaccine Center, AU-PANVAC, and the Inter-African Bureau for Animal Resources, AU-IBA, have a long history of successfully working together to solve animal health and production challenges in Africa, where ILRI is often leading the technical part of the work. ILRI and NEPAD worked together to establish the Biosciences Eastern and Central Hub, BECA ILRI, to provide a platform for African scientists to conduct advanced research and address challenges on the continent. Not the least, ILRI developed a thermostable vaccine for PPR that is now used in Mali and will be a big part of the eradication of PPR across Africa. Currently, ILRI and AU-IBA are working together on projects that cover animal production and genetics, animal health, One Health, feeds and forages, food safety, climate change, capacity building, among many others. I'm not going to list them all in much detail here, but I just want to mention we're working on biobanking on African local chickens together with the Gates Foundation and CTLGH. We're operationalizing of the Animal Resource and Seed Center of Excellence. In animal health, we're working on the Pan-African Strategy and Program for the Control and Eradication of PPR. We are working on the implementation of the Regional Strategy for Control of African Swine Fever in Africa, and so on and so forth. Again, many, many programs that work very successfully. In One Health, we're working on enhancing One Health core competencies and practices to efficient animal seed industry systems in Africa. In feeds and forages, we're developing of livestock feed balance maps and feed inventories using spatial databases and satellite imagery across Africa. We're working on food sector guidelines for the informal food sector, increasing not just food security, but also food safety across Africa. In climate change, ILRI works very closely in catalyzing transformation towards sustainable livestock systems. And we're working in capacity building all over Africa with communities all over Africa. In addition, ILRI has supported technical working groups in countries across Africa in the development and livestock master plans, making livestock part of prosperity, making livestock part of the livelihoods of the people that rely on what we're doing here. ILRI has supported the development of livestock master plans for Ethiopia, Tanzania, Rwanda, and the Gambia. Ongoing master plan work is going on in Kenya, Nigeria, and Madagascar, and other countries have submitted efforts to ask ILRI to help them, like Mauritania, Cameroon, Somalia, Zimbabwe, Senegal, and Burkina Faso. There have been recently many changes around the CGR system, and ILRI is part of this. We have established African Continental Free Trade Area, and we have a greater international focus on climate mitigation and adaptation to protect livelihoods across Africa. These changes call for the development of new ways of engagement between ILRI and AU-IBA to deliver sustainable solutions across Africa. ILRI has finalized both corporate and research and innovation strategies, and these strategies will help us to stay as a strong technical partner to AU-IBA and the work we're doing here. ILRI welcomes this opportunity to collaborate and support the PPR control and eradication in Africa. Indeed, this will strengthen our partnerships further, and especially on prioritized areas which can mobilize resources and deliver big wins for Africa and all of us. With these remarks, I thank you for listening and wish you a good evening.
Thank you very much. ILRI is our valued partner in a lot of our work, and we are very sure that there will be R&D, because we need to innovate, we will need to produce solutions even as we go about this campaign. Can we thank them again, please? Okay, moving quickly, can we have Director General FAO?
Thank you, Director of Ceremonies. I am not the Director General of FAO. I am, however, honored to stand in his shoes this evening and present these remarks on his behalf, the Director General of FAO, Dr. Chu Dong-yu. And I'll try very much to stick to 2 minutes. Let me start, first of all, by congratulating the African Union for the post-Malabo CAADP agenda and the Kampala Declaration adopted at the recently concluded Special AU Summit. Allow me to mention that PPR deeply affects the lives of some 300 million of the world's poorest rural families, whose food security and livelihoods depend on small ruminants. The yearly economic impact is estimated to be between 1.4 and 2.1 billion United States dollars. For our part as FAO, during our recent 33rd Africa Regional Conference, which was conducted last year in Morocco, the member states from within the African continent were quite clear on the priority focused on PPR and its eradication. To implement the PPR blueprint and achieve eradication, we need all partners to work together, backed by international support and funds to coordinate joint actions to ensure that we work collectively in an efficient and effective manner. I would just like to highlight some of the key areas where FAO has been collaborating with partners, and I must say, collectively, we have been doing very well. Here are some of the key achievements. First of all, coordination at all levels, especially with the scientific community, to deal with emerging issues, for example, in wildlife. At the recently concluded World Food Forum, a transformative research challenge supported by the EU and other donors, resulted in 24 postgraduate students being awarded $10,000 each for research for PPR. Networks, both laboratory as well as epidemiological networks, have been created and supported. In addition, over the last 5 years, over 100 million doses of PPR vaccines have been distributed to countries for vaccination. In addition, socioeconomic studies have been carried out in several countries, and the findings are being used for advocacy. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of resource mobilization, I should like to thank the partners, not only the European Union, but also other partners such as Japan, the US, the World Bank, for their generous contribution. However, it is important to note that there is still a funding gap. We do appreciate the fact that countries have allocated considerable resources towards PPR campaigns. Noteworthy, Algeria, Cameroon, among others, have been supporting the full cost of their national strategic plans. Indeed, something that we can emulate. Thank you. Political commitment and advocacy are crucial for sustaining the progress that we have made, and it's gratifying to listen to ministers make firm commitments towards the support of this program. The following activities will be FAO priority activities in the coming years. First of all, epidemiological delineation of the ecosystem. Secondly, risk-based vaccination, followed by seromonitoring. And thirdly, resource mobilization. Fourthly, capacity development. and fifthly, strengthening partnerships, amongst others. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all partners and the countries that are supporting the PPR GEP and extend a very special thanks to the European Union for its contribution. FAO is fully committed to meet the deadline. Let's together make history by eradicating PPR by 2030. I thank you.
Thank you. A very powerful speech from a lady on behalf of FAO. And of course, she has emphasized the issue that we need to mobilize international support and international funding for this. Thank you, Madam. I'd like to call on another partner, WOA, World Organization for Animal Health, the Director General. Please come.
Thank you so much. I've been reminded of the 2 minutes. You will imagine that I'm not the Director General. We're privileged to have a woman as a DG of WOA since a few years now. So I'm here on behalf of Dr. Emmanuel Souberan, who was not able to be with us today. So I would like to share with you some of the vision of WOA behind these important initiatives. If you allow me, I will not go with all the distinguished guests that we have here today. I think we're just appreciative at WOA that we've been able to put all those important people together for the launch of this important Pan-African program for the eradication of Peste PetitsRuminants today here in Ethiopia, the lands of origin. PPR continues to threaten the livelihoods of millions of farmers and pastoralists across Africa. Eradicating the disease is not just a technical challenge, it is an economic and social imperative. Tackling PPR requires coordinated action at all levels, and I would like to acknowledge the vital role played by the African Union Commission under the leadership of AU IBAR and with the support of AU PANVAC. Their efforts in close collaboration with FAO, WOA, Joint PPR Secretariat under the GFTADS is crucial to achieving our common goal. As you know, WOA remains steadfast in its commitment to support African members. I'm not going to go in all what we can propose in general and more precisely for PPR, but you know that we can provide strong strengthening of veterinary services activities through PVS and so on in collaboration with various partners. I cannot more than emphasize that even it looks very basic, it's important that countries notify diseases to WOA. That's the only way to get to know what this situation is. Also, I remind you that WOA can recognize your your official control program, including for PPR. This is endorsed by the overall assembly through a thorough process. This is an excellent tool for you to get the credibility in your effort in controlling the disease. And this can go with all your efforts to eventually get your freedom status being also recognized by the overall assembly. There are several members here today that already made significant progress. I'm making reference to Botswana, Lesotho, Madagascar, Mauritius, South Africa, and Namibia. They already achieved PPR-free status, so we can build on their knowledge and their success. I invite that sharing experience be part of this initiative as well. Because again, we said about it, the milestone is 2030. If I want to do in 2 minutes, already past 2 minutes, I would like just to reiterate that 2025 marks the 10th anniversary of the launch of the global strategy for the control and eradication of PPR. It was referred to by a minister previously. It was in Côte d'Ivoire, in Abidjan. At that moment, we gave ourselves a symbolic objective of 2030. This objective was foreseen based on the success we collectively reached with the eradication of rinderpest. We currently have more than 70 countries still infected with PPR worldwide, and the recent intrusion of the disease in countries previously free, including in Europe. We all know that reaching such objective within the next 5 years represents a challenge more than ever. I reaffirm WOA's unwavering commitment to supporting Africa's effort to eradicate PPR and achieve PPR-free status. However, time is short, and the challenge ahead is significant. We only a few years left to reach 2030 target. We must act decisively. To conclude, I would like to express my sincere appreciation of all our partners and stakeholders here present for their dedication, hard work, and commitment. This journey requires sustained collaboration and tireless effort. With collective determination and strategic partnership, we can and will achieve PPR-free Africa. Thank you. Amesignalu.
Okay, so he's giving us the milestones, the standards that we need to keep in mind, what it means to achieve PPR-free status. And of course, also some of the challenges, because some countries achieved it, but now they have a problem again. So thank you very much, and we're going to keep those in mind. The last statement is going to come from IAEA, which I think is going to be done online. Please, can you share that online?
Your Excellency, Tayatske Selassie, respected Excellencies, distinguished guests, I am happy to be part of the launch of the Pan-African Program for the Eradication of Peste de PetitsRuminants, PPR, in Africa by 2030, and the EU's support to the eradication of PPR from Africa. This initiative offers hope to millions of farmers and communities, strengthening food security, economic stability, and sustainable development. The International Atomic Energy Agency is proud to contribute its expertise in nuclear science and technology to this critical effort. PPR is more than livestock disease. It threatens livelihoods and food security across Africa. Highly contagious, it can infect up to 90% of a herd and kill 70% of the infected animals, causing immense economic losses. But eradication is possible. We succeeded with Rinderpest, and we can do it again. Achieving this goal requires strong collaboration, sustained investment, and cutting-edge technology. Central to our work is the Vet Lab network, which assists member states in improving national laboratory capacities to quickly detect and control transboundary animal and zoonotic diseases that threaten livestock and public health. Addressing Peste de PetitsRuminants has been at the center of these activities. Through the joint FAO-IAEA Center, the IEA is actively supporting Africa's fight against PPR by, let me give you some examples, strengthening diagnostic capacities through the Vet Lab network and free inter-laboratory proficiency testing. This ensures accurate disease detection. Advancing molecular characterization of outbreaks to enable rapid response and control. Another one, training veterinary professionals, more than 50 in person and 350 online on PPR diagnosis, control strategies, and finally, driving research on vaccines and vaccine quality control to support eradication efforts. Our Atoms for Food and Zodiac initiatives further reinforce Africa's preparedness by integrating nuclear techniques with advanced technologies to improve food security, prevent zoonotic disease outbreaks, and enhance agricultural resilience. PPR knows no borders, and neither should our efforts. The IEA is committed to expanding the Vet Lab network, strengthening laboratory capacities, and supporting vaccine innovation in collaboration with FAO, WOAH, CIRAT, and other key partners in this effort. Achieving a PPR-free Africa by 2030 will require continued political commitment and increased financial investment, of course, at national, regional, and global levels. This launch today marks a renewed commitment to that goal. The IEA stands ready to contribute just as we did with Rinderpest. Together, we can create a healthier, more food-secure future for Africa.
Those are very powerful statements from a very important partner. We cannot do things in 5 years without technology, without innovation, without expanding our capacities. We value the support and the partnership of IAEA. Before I get off the stage, before I end my part here, before I call Director Godfrey Bahigwa up to lead the rest of this program, I want to do something very special. We have been hearing already there's work being done. We've been hearing already partners are on the ground. We know somebody wrote this program. We know some people have had sleepless nights trying to craft this program, to bring all the complex parts of it together, to think through it, to write out a program that can be implemented. And they're sitting right here among us. I want to ask every person that is already involved in this project, from AU-IBA, from FAO, from World Organization for Animal Health, any other partner that is already working on this project. Please, can you stand up? I think they deserve a much bigger clap than that. Thank you very much. I will not ask to give all their names, but these are the force behind this program. And believe me, it has taken 3 to 5 years of very hard work, of asking many questions, of going back, of detailed work around the technical aspects, the aspects of partnership, the aspects of resource mobilization, the aspect of getting all stakeholders on board, of financing, of innovation and technology, of just bringing it all together. It has been very much focused and committed work. We want to thank you very much for what you have done. Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure to be here with you, to have you here today. And I now call on Director Godfrey Bahigwa to come and do the honors of inviting Ambassador Josefa Sako and also the host country to make the keynote addresses. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah. Another applause for Sarah. Thank you so much. Now it's my honor to invite my boss, Her Excellency Ambassador Josefa Sako, the Commissioner for Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy, and Sustainable Environment of the African Union Commission, to come and give the keynote address. Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, Director, my colleague, Dr. Godfrey. I stand on behalf of the chairperson of the African Union Commission. So I don't have a statement. The statement I'm going to read, it belongs to the chairperson of the African Union. We would love to be here, but due to pressing agenda, he could not make it, and they asked me to represent him in this important event. He's really a child of pastoralists. He believes in pastoralism. He was brought up there, raised in Chad. So he told me that I should read what it's here. Everything I will say is my boss that is addressing to you. So let me recognize the presence of our honorable ministers of the African Union, members of the African Union Commission. I will acknowledge the Minister of Cameroon, le Chad, la Côte d'Ivoire, Ethiopia, and Uganda, my dear brothers. You're welcome to Addis Ababa, and thank you for really gracing us with your presence, because this is the political commitment you are showing, that we are all together at all levels. The agendas are only one, and for our partners, development partners, to know that when we come to you to come and do resource mobilization, we have all the go-ahead of our political leaders who are here with us today. So let me also recognize the presence of ambassadors, Excellencies Ambassador and Permanent Representative to the African Union Commission and UNECA, the permanent representative of the European Union Commission to African Union, the representative of the Director General of FAO, my dear sister, representative of the Director General of the World Organization for Health, for Animal and Health, thank you for your support, Director General of the International Livestock Institute, ILRI. I will recognize also my Director of AU IBA present, and your team, my colleague Godfrey, who is the master of the ceremony for this second section, the representative of the regional economic community and member state of the African Union present, representative from donor community and development partners, representative from the Pan-African Farmers Organization, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol duly observed. Good evening to all of you. Now I'm going to present the statement of the chairperson of the African Union Commission. On behalf of the African Union Commission and on my own behalf, I have the honor and privilege to firstly welcome you all to this auspicious event of the launch of the Pan-African Program for the Eradication of Peste de PetitsRuminants, PPR, from Africa. I am deeply grateful for the government and the people of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia for hosting the event here in Addis Ababa. Hosting this historical event is a clear demonstration of Ethiopia's steadfast commitment to advancing animal resources development and indeed Africa agri-food system. I am particularly appreciative of the high level of representation and the broad range of participants from regional economic community, African Union member states, international organizations, development partners, research organizations, civil society, and professional organizations in the animal resource sector. This shows and reflects the intention of the African Union Commission to foster broad and strategic coalition and partnership necessary for effective eradication of the PPR from Africa by 2030. I think we are all committed, a lot has been said. Honorable ministers, distinguished participants, the biggest challenges, the biggest challenges that most African countries continue to face is to achieve an adequate level of food and nutrition security for an ever-growing population, while sustainably preserving natural resources. One of the solutions of these major challenges lies on the animal resource sector. Indeed, livestock agriculture is a crucial livelihood. It is a crucial livelihood for Africa's rural population, and it is of major strategic importance for the continent's food and nutrition security and inter-African and international trade. Because here, this is not my boss that is saying, we go to Brazil, we are importing meat, we are importing chicken. Why can't we import, why can't we make it here? So this sector is very important. So the inter-African trade through our IFCFTA, I think we can create jobs for our children, we create jobs, we can transport, we can also export because our meat is very good. Here in Ethiopia, the ruminants, they are very good. You can get good goats and you can get good goat and sheep. I took a goat during Christmas to Angola. Everybody was telling me, wow, it's so sweet, this meat. So to say that, congratulations, Ethiopia, you are really investing in these ruminants. So Africa's livestock sector, on average, contributes, it will say, 30 to 50% to agricultural GDP and has the potential to generate both agri-food system-led growth and the socio-economic transformation as envisioned in the recent adopted Kampala Declaration, the Kampala CADEP Declaration on building resilient and sustainable agri-food system in Africa. This is our 10 years action plan. This is the only strategy for the entire continent. So we really have to accelerate to start implementing it. It is increasingly recognized that in the presence of increased livestock production and productivity, the growing demand of animal source food will be met by an increase of livestock import bills for many African countries. Moreover, the failure to transform and expand African livestock sector will have undesirable effect, including slowing down the growth of local industry, lack of job opportunity, especially for youth and women, reducing the income of African pastoralists and others involved in the livestock sector, and loss of tax revenue. Therefore, by investing in sustainable livestock production, we are not only boosting but also fostering entrepreneurship, particularly among the youth and women, and reducing the rural-urban migration. Not only rural-urban, we also have the Mediterranean, where we are losing part of our children because they are going to look for a better livelihood. So we are endowed with all these natural resources. We should make sure that they have access to it, and we should make sure that all the banks, I can see ADB here, I would like ADB to give us more hope that these projects will be funded by ADB, because this is our bank for the love of development, and we need the African Bank to start looking at all these things together, you know, under the African Union. The continent is yet to tap the full potential of its animal resources, largely due to our failure to fully harness the opportunity available and address key challenges such as animal feed and health. As a continent, we need to change this narrative and catalyze investment from both the public and the private sector, in line with the Kampala CADEP Declaration and the CADEP Strategy and Action Plan 2026-2035 to realize the aspiration of our Agenda 2063, the Africa we all want. Africa has approximately, to also say, 1 billion sheep and goats, representing 24 to 31% of the world's small ruminant population, respectively. A majority of small ruminants on the African continent are reared mainly in arid and semi-arid areas and are a crucial asset and safety net for the poor, especially for women and pastoralist groups who are vulnerable to socio-economic shocks. However, their production and productivity is mainly hampered by Peste de PetitsRuminants, PPR, which is a deadly disease of sheep and goats with high socio-economic and trade impact. Honorable ministers, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, the African Union Commission has made the eradication of PPR as a priority policy issue. The high priority accorded to PPR eradication in Africa is on the realization that the eradication will contribute significantly to key goals of the Agenda 2063, which is the strategic framework for the socio-economic transformation of our continent. The eradication of PPR will contribute to the Agenda 2063 by enhancing food security, economic growth, and to promote regional integration through safe trade of livestock and livestock products. PPR eradication is therefore a key element in achieving the vision of a prosperous, integrated, and peaceful Africa as envisioned in Agenda 2063. Honorable ministers, distinguished participants, from our projection for eradication of PPR requires an estimated budget of 528 million euros. I think domestic mobilization is also important. Honorable ministers, we have to also have some percentage in investing in this important in your budget, because CADEP says that we have 10% that we have to put in agriculture. Agriculture is not only crop, agriculture is also livestock, fishery, even environment. Some environment are under agriculture. So this amount, if we can take 50% of that and then the rest, we could start lobbying with partners. I think we will show our part of commitment and we won our own program. Those in the collaboration, partnership, okay, we can go with the collaboration of, but the partnership, coalition of all stakeholders must be forged to mobilize the needed resource. At this juncture, allow me to recognize and appreciate the commitment of 100 million euros by European Union Commission towards the eradication of PPR. I am pleased to inform this gathering that 8 million euros, I'm talking French, euros, has been released for the preparatory phase of this program. Thank you very much. If the EU is around, this is our strategic EU is our strategic partner, has been supportive, very supportive to the African Union. We thank you for your continued support, because today with this geopolitics, some people are pulling out from some organizations, and it will be very difficult for us. That's why it is important that we should raise our own money. Otherwise, we don't know what we are going to do if we have to depend only on partners. The situation is changing, so we too have to change the narrative on how resource mobilization can be strategized at the African Union so that it can be compulsory for us to address this important sector that we are all here gathered. This is me, it's not my chairperson, because I am the commissioner, so I allow myself also to give my views. Let me take this opportunity to recognize the long-term partnership with EU, which started in the 60s when we were having our independence. They never left us. They came, they colonized us, but they always work with us, which is a very good approach. It is a process with the fight against Peste, which resulted in the eradication of Peste from the continent, which was achieved in 2010. It was already said here. Peste was the first animal disease to be eradicated and the second after smallpox. Numerous success stories of the partnership can be cited, supported by evidence on the ground where the intervention have been carried out. We heard from our ministers, many of them have been engaged, a lot of partners that are supporting them too at the national level. African Union and African Union Commission, and indeed the whole of Africa appreciate this huge support from the European Union. I note with appreciation Africa's commitment to eradicate PPR as demonstrated by several PPR programs and projects currently being implemented in Africa by the REX and the member states in collaboration with various development partners. It is important to note that countries have gone an extra mile and are funding national PPR eradication programs through their own national budget. I congratulate all my ministers. That's the way we should do. Charity begins at home, so let us start doing our own thing. So if we don't, we can cover 75%, and if 25% we can ask partners. This is really one of the decisions of African Union. This is a commendable effort, and we extend our deep appreciation. I urge our member states to prioritize PPR eradication in line with the global objective and to mobilize more resources to kick PPR out of the continent for the benefit of the African people. I also call upon technical and development partners to support efforts being made by the REX and member states by mobilizing more resources for the eradication of PPR to make the eradication of PPR another success story that will open huge opportunity for small ruminant dependent community and small ruminant value chain actors. Let me reiterate that PPR vaccine remain the key tools required for the eradication of the PPR. The effective implementation of the SAFE program will focus on building the capacity of the African Union in laboratory diagnosis and vaccine production, quality control and dissemination of vaccine to defeat the dreaded disease in Africa and in the world. It is therefore essential that the provision of the PPR vaccine in a quantity and quality for the eradication of PPR in Africa is achieved through strengthening the capacity of vaccine producing laboratory in Africa, including private laboratories, to ensure Africa's self-sufficiency in PPR vaccine production. The infrastructure and equipment that will be put in place for the production of PPR vaccine will benefit and support the production of vaccine for the control of other priority viral animal diseases, such as limpy skin disease, sheep and goat pox, Newcastle disease, Rift Valley fever, contagious bovino. This one, let me try to pronounce it, pneumonia, and among others. Excellent. Honorable ministers, ladies and gentlemen, it is also critical that the continent does not lose the momentum created to eradicate PPR by 2030. I therefore call for fostering a broad coalition for the eradication of PPR and control of other priority small ruminant diseases in Africa. Successful eradication of PPR and control of other important small ruminant diseases in Africa will make the livestock sector a major economic drivers for sustainable livelihoods and poverty reduction. The eradication of PPR in Africa by 2030 is not only a commitment to Africa, but a commitment to the world and humanity. It is my great pleasure and honor to invite State Minister of Agriculture of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia to address his statement and launch the Pan-African Program for the eradication of PPR from Africa. I thank you. Amasek Nalen, merci beaucoup, muito obrigada, muitas gracias. Asante sana.
እንደምናችሁ. Good evening. Excellency Ambassador Joseph Sakvo, the Commissioner of Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy and Sustainable Environment, Honorable Ministers from Cameroon, Republic of Chad, Cote d'Ivoire, and Republic of Uganda, Dr. Franz Akayo, Deputy Director General of World Organization for Animal Health, Dr. Huyam Sali, Director, AU IBAR, delegates representing the regional economic communities and member states of African Union, representatives of all development partners who have shown strong commitment of eradicating PPR from Africa, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. On behalf of Dr. Girma Amenti, the Ministry of Agriculture of Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, and on my behalf, I'm delighted to have the opportunity to address these distinguished gatherings and launch the program for the eradication of Peste, PetitsRuminants, PPR, the deadly disease of small ruminants in Africa, who is really negatively impacting the economy, and the social, and also the livelihood of our community. On behalf of my government, Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, I congratulate the African Union Commission, the growing threats of climate change, the growing population, and gaps in food and nutritional security, high import bills of animal and animal products, urbanization and access to market for livestock and livestock products. Ethiopia's animal resource holds immense economic growth and development potential, with the largest livestock population in Africa, and especially about more than 90 million heads of sheep and goats, about 52 million heads of goats, and 42 million heads of sheep in Ethiopia. The sector accounts for nearly 20% of the country's GDP and employs significant portion of the labor force. Today, my country has made the livestock sector a public asset as one of the key pillars of the economy. And as it has been stated by all of us, the main constraints of the sector, the transboundary animal diseases, such as PPR, which is the subject of today. Therefore, eradication of PPR is in line with the global targets of 2030, remains a key priority objectives for Ethiopia as guided by the decisions of the Executive Council of African Union. And we have started the control of PPR maybe 5 years ago with risk-based vaccination, awareness creations, surveillance systems, and encouraging progresses have been registered. Excellencies, Ethiopia regards PPR eradication as public good that goes beyond individual countries and regions. Inaction by a country or a region exposes neighboring countries and regions to the negative impact of PPR. Available evidences on the continent indicates that inadequate PPR management by some regions and countries has resulted in PPR invasion in already free countries, eroding gains that those countries have achieved with serious consequences on their agri-food system and livelihoods. As we all know, eradication of render pest provides a useful lesson that informs PPR eradication in Africa. Technical and financial support is from many partner institutions, including from FAO, World Organization for Animal Health, International Atomic Energy Agency, the European Union Commissions, and the overall coordination of African Union African Bureau for Animal Resource, AUIBAR, was invaluable in the eradication of render pest. Ethiopia and other AU member states, regional economic commissions, and partners have made great strides, including implementing PPR eradication policies and strategies, and undertaking surveillance and vaccinations. However, enhanced resource mobilization is needed for coordinated and time-bound PPR eradication in Africa by 2030 under the continental coordination of African Union Commission. Projections indicate the PPR eradication will require, and as it was also presented by Dr. Huyam, more than €500 million over the 5 years. I therefore urge member states to consider PPR a priority issue and mainstream it in their respective investment plans and budgets, given the negative impact of the disease in terms of hindrance to poverty reduction and rural development. As I conclude, honorable ministers, excellencies, Commissioner for the Agricultural and Rural Development and Blue Economy, distinguished guests, I assure you of the continuous support of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia for PPR eradication. As a champion of CADEP, we'll continue to advocate for the recognition of small ruminants for sustainable and resilient agri-food systems, and indeed advocate for the eradication of PPR from Africa. Finally, I want to take this opportunity to declare the Pan-African Program for the Eradication of PPR from Africa has been officially launched. I thank you. Thank you. And maybe I would like to take also this opportunity that Ethiopia got a chance to host the 26th WHA conference, Continental Conference, and it's organized and it is going to be held tomorrow in Africa Economic Commission. So on behalf of the government of Ethiopia, I would like to invite our honorable ministers to be also part of the conference tomorrow. Everything is arranged, and I thank you. Have a pleasant night. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was our host, Dr. Fikru Regasagari, the State Minister for Livestock and Fisheries of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. We are only 2 short agenda items to your dinner. Thank you for your patience, and I hope you are hungry enough after the next 2 items. So we are now going to unveil the Pan-African PPR Eradication Program and the EU support to the eradication of PPR. I'm going to invite the Her Excellency, the Commissioner, plus the ministers, the honorable ministers, plus the representative of development partners, that is FDB, to come forward to cut the ribbon to unveil the PPR eradication program. The rest of us kindly remain seated, but you are free to get your phones and take pictures from your seats. So, Your Excellency, the Commissioner, plus the honorable ministers, plus the FDB representative representing development partners, please come forward to cut the ribbon. Thank you, thank you. So can you guide the... So the photographer, be ready. 1, 2, 3. It is done. The Pan-African Program for Eradication of PPR is launched officially. Thank you very much. So then after that, we would like to invite you to the podium to take a picture. Oh, yes, they are going to come to the podium. Is the cut being cut now, or the cake, or later? Now, okay. So I understand we have a cake to commemorate the launch of the program. Again, it will be cut by the Commissioner with the observation of the honorable ministers and representative of the development partners. Three, 2, 1, cut. Again, a hand. Thank you, Excellency and honorable ministers. Okay. It's non-alcoholic. So anybody can take even myself. Oh, all right. Thank you. Her Excellency, the Commissioner is serving the Honorable Ministers a piece of the cake. Okay, cheers. Thank you. Thank you very much. The ushers will pass around, stay where you are. The ushers will pass around and serve the rest of us. And when you are done, Your Excellency and Honorable Ministers, please come up to the podium for a group photo. Now, in this group photo, I'll also invite all the other delegates that spoke. So the representatives of the International Atomic Energy Agency, the representative of FAO, whoever spoke, please join the podium for the group photo. Welcome, Your Excellency and Honorable Ministers, to the podium. The photographer, can you come and help us, arrange us on how the photograph will be taken? So everybody that spoke, please join the podium. Yeah, he will let us know if we can fit. So shall we all fit? Fashion, okay. I also spoke, so I will join the photograph. Okay, thank you, Honorable Ministers. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you very much, everybody. So the next item is, I'm happy to invite you on behalf of Her Excellency, the Commissioner, and also the Honorable Minister of Ethiopia, to a dinner. But I need to be advised from my colleagues on protocol how this is going to happen. I'm told you first hold on, you take a piece of the cake. So the dessert is first before dinner. Yes, so kindly stay seated where you are. The ushers are coming to serve you a piece of the cake.